Have you ever woken up in the middle of the night with your leg in a knot, your toes curling from a pain that hits out of nowhere? You probably stretched, cursed under your breath, chugged some water, and blamed it on a workout you didn't do. But what if that pain, that mysterious stabbing cramp, wasn't about your calves, but about your cervix, or your nerves, or an infection you didn't even know you had? Yeah, I'm talking about HPV, the most common STI on the planet. And believe it or not, it might be messing with your muscles, your nerves, your nights, and your peace of mind. So, before you reach for another banana, sit back, breathe, because today on Sit Here with Teenagers, we're diving deep into the real connection between HPV and the cramps no one warned you about. It's science, it's personal, it's going to get weird and wildly eye-opening. Let's go. Why people with HPV get more muscle cramps. The secret doctors don't talk about. Let's break it down. Sit here with teenagers. Hit that subscribe button, give us a like if you've ever had a mystery cramp, and drop a comment below. I've felt this. You're not crazy, and you're definitely not alone. Let me start by saying this. Human papillomavirus, HPV, is not just a women's issue. It's not just about warts, and it's definitely not something only other people get. HPV is the most common sexually transmitted infection in the world. More than 80% of sexually active people, that's 4 out of every 5, will get it at some point in their lives, and most of them won't even know it. Let that sink in for a second, because if you're watching this video and you've ever had sex, oral, vaginal, or even close skin-to-skin contact, this topic is directly about you. But let's not panic. Let's understand. HPV stands for human papillomavirus. It's not just one virus. It's a whole family, over 100 different strains, and each one behaves a little differently. Some types cause genital warts, and while annoying, they're usually harmless. Others are considered high-risk types, and those are the ones that can lead to serious health problems like cervical cancer, penile cancer, anal cancer, throat cancer, and even issues with fertility and immune response. And here's where it gets more complex. HPV often causes no symptoms at all. That's right. No itch, no burn, no discharge, no pain. Nothing. So it lives inside your body quietly, doing damage under the surface. Most people never notice anything wrong right away. From the moment you're exposed to HPV, the virus can enter your epithelial cells. That's the surface layer of your skin or mucous membrane. And then, it just sits there. This stage is called the incubation period, and it can last from weeks to months, even years. Think of HPV like a toxic roommate who moved into your house, never pays rent, doesn't say a word, but slowly rearranges the furniture and messes up the wiring while you're asleep. You won't feel it. You won't see it, but it's happening. And that's where the real danger lies. Only a small number of people actually show early physical symptoms, and when they do, they can be easy to ignore or mistake for something else. Here are a few red flags, and let me be clear, you don't need to have all of them to have HPV. For people with vaginas. Unusual vaginal discharge, pelvic discomfort or pressure, irregular periods, pain during sex, bleeding after intercourse, a serious sign. For people with penises, small warts on or around the genitals, slight burning or tingling feeling during urination, discomfort during or after ejaculation, no symptoms at all, especially with internal HPV strains. A lot of people carry the virus and pass it on without ever knowing. That's why routine screening, Pap smears, HPV testing, is so important. We'll get into prevention later, but first I want to tell you a story. Maria was 27. Young, healthy, worked out 4 times a week, never smoked, rarely drank. She hadn't had a regular pap smear in 3 years. She figured she was low risk. But one night she started experiencing strange leg cramps at bedtime. "I thought it was dehydration," she said. "I was drinking water, eating bananas, but nothing worked." She also started to feel pressure in her lower pelvis. Nothing major, just a heaviness, like something was pushing from the inside. She ignored it, until one day she noticed light bleeding after sex. That scared her, so she finally went for a checkup. The result? HPV, high-risk strain, and precancerous cervical changes. Maria's cramps weren't random. The infection had triggered an inflammatory response that was affecting the pelvic nerves, causing muscle tension and disrupted blood flow. Thanks to early detection, she received outpatient treatment and was able to clear the virus naturally over the next year. Some people, especially those with weakened immune systems, don't clear HPV naturally. The virus stays active, keeps spreading inside the body, and starts to trigger abnormal cell growth. That's how cancers begin. Slow, subtle, and often silent. What starts as one unnoticed lesion on the cervix can become cervical cancer in just a few years. And here's the thing. HPV doesn't just target the cervix. It can infect the anus, penis, throat, mouth, and even the respiratory tract. So, how does HPV actually cause these problems? Here's what happens inside your body. 1. HPV enters your epithelial cells through microscopic tears during sex or skin contact. 2. It inserts its DNA into your cells, hijacking them. 3. Your body either O. fights it off, in most healthy people, or O. starts a low-level chronic infection that leads to cell changes over time. 4. These altered cells can O. trigger nerve irritation, causing spasms, tingling, or pain. O. disrupt electrolyte balance, causing cramps. O. turn into precancerous or cancerous cells if left unchecked. The inflammation link: cramping, HPV, and pelvic dysfunction. When HPV causes inflammation in the pelvic region, it often affects nearby muscles and nerves. Pelvic floor muscles become tight, reactive. Nerve signals misfire, causing cramps in hips, thighs, and lower back. Circulation decreases, making recovery slower and muscles more fatigued. This explains why many HPV-positive people, especially women, report leg cramps at night, hip pain, discomfort during intimacy, bloating, or abdominal tension. And yet, most are told it's just stress or normal female stuff. It's not. Some people, especially those with weakened immune systems, don't clear HPV naturally. The virus stays active, keeps spreading inside the body, and starts to trigger abnormal cell growth. Jackson, 33, was a podcast host. Loved to talk. Loved to sing. Never thought of himself as someone who'd get something like HPV. He was in a monogamous relationship. Or so he thought. One day, he noticed a persistent sore throat, then a tightening, like a cramp in the neck, especially after eating or talking too long. At first, he thought it was acid reflux, but after a biopsy of a lesion in his throat, the results came in. HPV-positive oropharyngeal cancer. It had developed from an oral HPV infection, likely contracted during unprotected oral sex years ago. He underwent radiation therapy, lost weight, lost his voice temporarily, but he survived. "If I could go back," he said, "I would have taken HPV way more seriously. I would have gotten the vaccine in my 20s. I would have asked more questions about my partner's history. If you've tested positive for HPV, don't panic, don't hide, don't freeze. Here's what you can do. 1. Regular monitoring. Pap smears every 1 to 3 years, HPV DNA testing to check for high-risk types, colposcopy if cell changes are detected. 2. Boost immune function. Eat anti-inflammatory foods, leafy greens, berries, salmon. Stay hydrated. Quit smoking. Seriously, it makes HPV worse. Manage stress. Cortisol weakens immune defense. 3. Medical treatments. Cryotherapy, freezing abnormal cells. LEAP procedure, removal of affected tissue. Surgery in more advanced cases. Topical treatments for warts. If you're under 45 and haven't gotten the HPV vaccine, it's not too late. The Gardasil 9 vaccine protects against 9 major strains, including the ones most likely to cause cancer and warts. It's safe, it works, and it could save your life. Other prevention strategies. Use condoms, dental dams, though not 100% effective. Get tested and ask your partner to do the same. Avoid smoking. Know your body. Track symptoms. Get vaccinated. All right, let's take a detour for a second. We've been talking about HPV, the stealthy little virus that's more common than Tinder matches in LA, but let's get personal with your muscles. Specifically, cramps. The ones that hit you at 3 a.m. like a lightning strike in your calf. Or worse, the ones you feel deep in your pelvis or lower back, and you have no idea why. Let me tell you something up front. It's not just dehydration. That's the lazy excuse. What's really happening in your body is a symphony of electrical signals, chemicals, minerals, and, unfortunately, sometimes chaos. A muscle cramp is when a muscle, or even a group of muscles, suddenly contracts involuntarily and can't relax. It's like your muscle got stuck mid-flex and decided, you know what, I'm just going to chill here and make you suffer. These cramps can last a few seconds or several minutes, and they can hit your legs, feet, abs, hands, or even deep muscles you can't massage, like pelvic floor muscles. But what causes it? Let's break it down. Muscles move because nerves tell them to. Imagine your brain as the DJ, and your muscles are the dancers. The nerve is the speaker system, and electrolytes, they're the music. When everything's working right, your nerve sends an electrical impulse. The signal travels down your motor neuron. It tells the muscle, time to move. Calcium floods in, making the muscle fibers slide and contract. Once the job's done, calcium gets sucked back out and the muscle relaxes. Now, imagine if the music glitches, too much static, bad wiring, maybe the power supply is flickering. That's what happens when your electrolytes are imbalanced, or your nerves are inflamed, or your hormones are out of whack, and boom, cramp. Cramps, nerve miscommunication, plus electrolyte chaos. Hormonal dysfunction. Let's break those 3 down. 1. Nerve miscommunication. Your motor neurons are like delivery trucks carrying contract and relax messages. When they're damaged, say by inflammation, viral infection, or nerve compression, the signals get garbled. So instead of flex now, relax later, your muscles get flex forever. This is super common in people with HPV-triggered pelvic inflammation, diabetes, nerve damage is real, vitamin B12 deficiency affects myelin, the nerve insulation, or even people who sit in awkward positions all day, like students bent over laptops 10 hours straight. Yeah, that's you. 2. Electrolyte chaos. Let's talk minerals. Calcium, magnesium, potassium, sodium. These aren't just things on a Gatorade bottle. They are literally the power lines for your nervous system and muscles. Here's what each one does. Calcium initiates the contraction. Magnesium helps with relaxation. Potassium and sodium handle the signal transfer across nerve cells. Mess up one? You're asking for muscle drama. Think of it like trying to charge your phone with a broken cable. It kinda works until it doesn't. That's what your muscles feel like without balanced electrolytes. Fun fact, most Americans are deficient in magnesium, especially teens and women. This alone causes O-twitching, O-night cramps, O-PMS pain, O-pelvic muscle fatigue. Magnesium deficiency detected daily, recommended intake. 320 mg for women, 400 mg for men. 3. Hormone imbalance. Let's not forget the hormones, especially estrogen and testosterone. They regulate muscle tone, circulation, water retention, and electrolyte balance. Ever notice how women get more leg cramps during PMS or menstruation? That's because estrogen dips, magnesium tanks, and muscles go haywire. Same for guys with low testosterone. Maybe from stress, lack of sleep, or yes, HPV-related testicular inflammation. It happens. So no, cramps aren't just in your head. They're in your blood, your nerves, your diet, your sleep, your entire body. Real stories, when cramps were a sign of something deeper. Let me tell you about Eli, 24, college student, played soccer, ate decently, drank water, but started getting severe hip cramps after matches. At first, he blamed it on overtraining. Then he noticed something else. Pain during urination, slight discharge, and yes, pelvic tightness, like someone was wringing his insides. He got tested. Boom. HPV positive, plus early signs of urethral inflammation. Doctors explained the infection had triggered an inflammatory response that was compressing pudendal nerves, leading to muscle cramps in the groin, legs, and even lower abs. No one ever told me HPV could do that, Eli said. I thought it was just about warts. He started pelvic floor physical therapy, improved his diet with more magnesium and omega-3s, and after 6 months, his symptoms were gone. Cramp zones. You didn't expect cramps aren't always in your calves. Here are some underrated, often misunderstood cramp zones. Pelvic floor. Deep inside, controlling bladder, sexual function, core stability. Lower abdomen, often confused with digestive issues. Inner thighs, linked to lymphatic congestion. HPV-related inflammation. Neck and jaw, especially in HPV throat infections. Chronic tension, fatigue. Each zone tells a different story, but they all connect back to one thing. Your body is trying to tell you something. Are you listening? Treating cramps the smart way. Most people just stretch and hope for the best. But let's level up. Here's how you actually address the root cause. 1. Check your electrolytes. Blood work is gold. Ask your doctor to check magnesium, potassium, calcium, vitamin D, vitamin B12. Even mild deficiencies mess up muscle function. You might not be sick, but you'll definitely feel off. 2. Anti-inflammatory diet. Eat for your muscles. Leafy greens, spinach, kale, magnesium. Bananas, avocados, sweet potatoes, potassium powerhouses, pumpkin seeds, almonds, cashews. Snack your way to less cramping. Turmeric and ginger. Reduce muscle inflammation naturally. 3. Movement plus muscle recovery. Ironically, sitting too much causes more cramps than moving too much. Try gentle yoga, pelvic floor stretches, deep squats, if your joints allow, massage therapy, Epsom salt baths. Let your body breathe. 4. Treat underlying issues. Don't just treat the cramp. Treat the infection. If you've got HPV, follow through. Get screened regularly. Follow doctor's orders. Avoid smoking. It delays healing and aggravates cramps. Communicate with your partner. Seriously, don't carry this alone. 5. Sleep, stress, sex health. Lack of sleep, cramps. Too much cortisol, cramps. Stressful sex life with unaddressed pain or trauma? Yes, cramps again. Relaxation isn't a luxury. It's medicine. Wisdom from Dr. Khalid, physical therapist. When a young patient comes in with leg or pelvic cramps, my first question isn't, "Are you drinking water?" It's, "What's going on in your life? Are you stressed? Are you sleeping? Are you sexually active? What's your gut telling you?" Because cramps are the symptom, not the problem. Okay, this is the part no one talks about at the doctor's office. You test positive for HPV and they tell you, "No worries, your immune system will clear it." Or, "We'll monitor the cervical changes. Just keep doing your pap smears." Cool, but what about the weird cramping in your legs? The spasms in your lower back? That ache in your hips that feels like you did a full workout, even though you haven't touched a treadmill in weeks? Yeah, we're going there. 3 words. Chronic. Inflammation. Cascade. Let's break that down. HPV isn't just a virus. It's a trigger. Once it settles into your body, particularly in the pelvic area, it starts this low-level war. Your immune system fires back. And the battlefield, your nerves, electrolytes, and muscle tissues. So, what's the first domino in the chain reaction? 1. HPV causes chronic inflammation. When HPV enters your epithelial cells, especially around the cervix, anus, or urethra, it sets off the body's immune alarm bells. Inflammatory messengers, we call them cytokines, are released. That's good news, at first. Your immune system is doing its job. But over time, if HPV doesn't clear and that inflammation becomes chronic, it becomes a problem. Think of it like a fire alarm that never stops blaring. Eventually, the wiring short circuits. This fire doesn't just stay in one place, it spreads. And that's where things get serious. 2. Inflammation interferes with nerve signals. Here's where it gets wild. Chronic inflammation, especially in the pelvic region, starts messing with the nerves that control your muscles. Your pelvic region is packed with nerves. Pudendal nerve, obturator nerve, sciatic nerve, sacral plexus. These nerves run from your spine through your pelvis and into your legs. They're responsible for hip mobility, bladder control, sexual sensation, and yes, leg and pelvic muscle coordination. When inflammation compresses or irritates these nerves, guess what happens? Mixed signals, misfires, cramping. Your muscles receive the command to contract, but not the memo to relax. Real case. Alicia, 29. I thought it was just anxiety. Alicia is a school teacher in Arizona. Active, healthy, plant-based diet. She started feeling deep hip aches after teaching all day. At first, she blamed her posture, then stress. She even started doing yoga. Nothing helped. The real red flag? She woke up one night with a sharp pain shooting down her left thigh, almost like a cramp, but deeper, internal. Then came pelvic heaviness, spotting, and discomfort during sex. She finally got checked. HPV positive, SIN2 cervical dysplasia, and early signs of nerve irritation in the pelvic floor. What she thought was stress or sciatica was nerve miscommunication from chronic inflammation. Alicia began pelvic floor physical therapy and added B vitamins and magnesium to her diet. Her cramps didn't vanish overnight, but in 3 months they dropped by 70%. 3. Inflammation disrupts magnesium and B vitamin absorption. This one's sneaky. Chronic inflammation doesn't just mess with nerves. It blocks nutrient absorption, especially magnesium, vitamin B6, and B12. Here's what they do. Magnesium keeps your muscles relaxed, controls nerve firing. B6 helps your nerves transmit messages. B12 protects the coating around your nerves, called the myelin sheath. When your body's busy fighting inflammation 24/7, it struggles to absorb and retain these nutrients. You could be eating healthy and still be low on these essentials. Think of it like trying to charge your phone through a frayed cable. You're plugged in, but nothing's flowing. That's why people with chronic infections, like HPV, often experience leg cramps, tingling sensations, muscle twitches, weird electric shock feelings in their hips or thighs. Real case, Jordan, 34. I knew something was off. Jordan is a personal trainer, fit, disciplined, meal preps like a pro, but he started getting twitches in his quads after workouts. His calves felt tight. Not sore, tight. He upped his potassium and water intake. Still no change. Eventually, he started waking up with burning sensations in his inner thighs. After a urology visit and STI screening, he learned he had HPV in the urethral lining, causing inflammation near the pudendal nerve. He started supplementing with magnesium glycinate, got treatment for the inflammation, and, most importantly, rested. Jordan's takeaway. Just because I'm fit doesn't mean I'm untouchable. I learned the hard way that HPV is bigger than just sex stuff. It's systemic. 4. Weakened nerves, muscle misfires. Let's connect the dots now. We've got HPV infection, leads to chronic inflammation, causes nerve interference, leads to nutrient depletion, results in muscle cramps and spasms. It's not random, it's a cascade, and your muscles are paying the price, especially deep pelvic muscles, levator ani, obturator internus, hip stabilizers, piriformis, iliopsoas, leg and thigh muscles, hamstrings, quads. Let's be real. Cramps caused by HPV-related inflammation don't behave like normal exercise cramps. They can be deep and hard to localize, triggered by sitting, standing, or sex, paired with tingling, numbness, or burning, not relieved by stretching or hydration. And because they're related to nerve dysfunction, they often come in waves, not all at once. One week your hip feels fine. The next week you feel like your pelvis is locked. A lot of people, especially women, are told it's probably just your period, or you're sitting too much, or it's anxiety. But chronic pelvic and leg cramping, especially when paired with spotting, pain during sex, urinary weirdness, tingling, or burning, might be more than muscle. It might be nerve-related, inflammatory, and yes, HPV-linked. So, what can you do about it? 1. Address the infection. If you've tested positive for HPV, don't ignore it. Ask your provider about monitoring inflammation markers. Get screened for vitamin deficiencies, especially B12 and magnesium. 2. Support your nerves. Take B-complex vitamins, with methylated forms if possible. Magnesium glycinate or citrate. Omega-3s to reduce nerve inflammation. 3. Target the pelvic muscles. Try pelvic floor therapy. Use heat therapy or Epsom salt baths. Avoid prolonged sitting. Take movement breaks every hour. 4. Tackle the root inflammation. Cut down on processed sugar. Increase anti-inflammatory foods, berries, turmeric, leafy greens. Sleep. No joke. Your body repairs nerves during deep sleep. Real quote from patient community. My pelvic cramps didn't go away until I treated the inflammation and rebalanced my nutrients. Once I realized the connection between HPV and the rest of my body, everything clicked. Case 1. David, 41, pelvic tightness post-HPV. David never thought HPV was something he needed to worry about. I'm a guy, I figured, no symptoms, no problem. Until he started experiencing tightness during sex, not in his mind, in his body, a kind of gripping tension in his lower abdomen and inner thighs that wouldn't let go. I felt like I couldn't relax. It was like a muscle spasm deep inside, and it made intimacy feel awkward, even painful. Eventually, David saw a pelvic health specialist. MRI scans showed nerve inflammation near the sacral plexus, a nerve bundle affected by the nearby infected tissue. He was HPV positive. It never showed up as warts or anything visible, but my body knew, and it was screaming at me to pay attention. David began pelvic floor physical therapy, focused on anti-inflammatory foods, and started opening up about his experience. Talking about this stuff, with my partner, with my doctor, even with friends, helped me realize I wasn't weak or broken. I was healing. Case 2. Dr. Lynn, OB-GYN perspective. Dr. Lynn has been an OB-GYN for 18 years. I've seen dozens of patients, mostly women, come in with bizarre cramps, pelvic tightness, burning sensations they can't explain. She says that when inflammation is present, whether from HPV, pelvic inflammatory disease, or even stress-related tension, it can affect the pelvic nerve network in unpredictable ways. We're trained to look for big red flags, bleeding, abnormal discharge, etc., but I've learned to listen when patients say, "My hips feel locked," or "I get spasms after sex." That's not random. That's the nervous system trying to signal distress. Dr. Lin now incorporates nerve-friendly nutrition, gentle stretching, and emotional support into her care plans. Pain isn't weakness. It's a request for attention. Okay, so you've got cramps. You've heard these stories. Maybe some of them sound a little too familiar. Now let's stop just treating the symptoms and fix the root. Whether your cramps are from HPV-related inflammation or something similar, here's a real, doable plan to get you back on track. Electrolyte balance. Fuel your muscles. Right, your body isn't just water and protein. It's electric. Potassium regulates fluid and muscle contractions. Magnesium calms muscle overactivity. Calcium helps nerve signals function properly. Eat potassium-rich foods, bananas, avocados, sweet potatoes, coconut water. Add magnesium, almonds, cashews, spinach, pumpkin seeds. Magnesium glycinate supplements. Ask your doctor first. Maria swore by her nightly magnesium tea. It became her ritual and her rescue. Vitamin B support. Nerves need nourishment. Nerves don't just run on electricity. They need insulation, speed, and repair. That's where B6 and B12 come in. B6 helps nerve signaling. B12 maintains the protective sheath, myelin, around your nerves. Boost with eggs, fortified cereals, nutritional yeast, B-complex vitamins, methylated forms for better absorption. David's cramps reduced dramatically after fixing a silent B12 deficiency. Turns out he wasn't absorbing enough through diet alone. Anti-inflammatory lifestyle. Less fire, less misfire. If inflammation is the fire, your diet is either the gasoline or the extinguisher. Eat more. Omega-3s from salmon, chia seeds, flax, turmeric, natural anti-inflammatory, leafy greens, berries, antioxidant powerhouses, cut back on, sugar, processed foods, refined carbs, dairy, if you notice a link with bloating inflammation. Pelvic physical therapy. Train smarter, not harder. You don't need to hit the gym to recover. In fact, some of the best healing happens in stillness and controlled movement. Try myofascial release, pelvic floor stretches, happy baby pose, butterfly stretch, breathing exercises to relax the pelvic diaphragm, Kegel training, but only with medical guidance. David thought Kegels were only for women. His PT taught him how they could help rewire his body's signals. It changed his life. HPV follow-up and treatment. Don't ghost your body. Stay in the conversation. Track your progress. Pap smears. HPV genotyping. Follow-up every 6 to 12 months. Discuss vaccine options, even if you've already been exposed. Remember, your immune system can clear HPV in 6 to 24 months if supported. So, what started as a cramp turned into a conversation. We went from spasms to science, from HPV to nerve pathways, from shame to self-awareness. And maybe, just maybe, your body isn't trying to betray you. Maybe it's trying to talk to you. That pain in your leg, that tightness in your hips, that ache you keep ignoring. It could be your body asking for attention, not just treatment. Here's what we want you to remember. HPV is not the end. It's not a curse. It's not something to be embarrassed about. It's a message, a reminder to check in with your body, to get screened, to eat better, to rest, to speak up when something feels off, and most of all, to stop feeling ashamed for being human. Whether you're 17 or 37, this conversation is for you. Your body deserves care. Your story deserves to be heard, and your health deserves to come first. So the next time your muscles scream in the middle of the night, don't just stretch. Don't just reach for water. Don't just Google quietly. Talk about it. Get curious. Ask your doctor. Ask your friends. Ask yourself, what else is my body trying to say? Because sometimes the tiniest cramp leads to the biggest wake-up call. From all of us that sit here with teenagers, thank you for sitting with us, staying open, and daring to listen to the things we've been taught to ignore. Like this video if you learned something new. Comment if you've ever had a cramp that made you wonder, WTF is this? Subscribe for more brutally honest, science-backed health talk. And please, share this with someone you care about, because knowledge heals,